Good morning, everybody. Reverend Dwight Lee Wolter here at the Congregational Church of Patchogue. We are now basing this service on the Congregational Church of Patchogue Facebook page as opposed to the Dwight Lee Wolter Facebook page, but you can share it or view it in either place. Here's two quotes I'd like to offer. One is, "A house divided against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand." And that is found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 3, verses 25. And it's also found in a very famous speech by Abraham Lincoln that he gave in 1858. The other quote is from Isaiah, a Hebrew prophet, Old Testament prophet, long before Jesus' time prophet. "The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid." I have a problem with a wolf lying down with a lamb. When I was a kid, I was taught that if a wild animal came out of the woods during daylight and it wanted me to tickle its belly, I should run as fast as I could because it had rabies. As an adult, the gospel warning that a house divided against itself cannot stand, quoted in a speech by Abe Lincoln, encouraged, I thought, a belief that we will all someday have a united and uniting, peaceful reconciliation, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the wolf shall lie down with the lamb, and the rabies-infested animal that comes out of the woods during daylight and wants me to tickle its belly and I are going to get along really well. But does that mean, I wonder, that Black Lives Matter people should have a potluck supper with white nationalists? Does that mean that neo-Nazis should share a Passover meal with Jews? Maybe, maybe not. Many initiatives have been done like that by houses of faith, trying to get people together in divided communities. But other people would say it's not worth the time. Lincoln's speech, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," which he, of course, was quoting the Bible on. The second sentence he says after that is, "This government cannot endure half slave and half free." So he was saying a nation against itself cannot stand, but he wasn't saying, therefore, let's all get he was just saying, we're going to have to make up our mind. We're going to have to go one way or the other. We're going to either be free or we're not going to be free. So the country did seem to come apart over slavery, and it again seems in some respects to be coming apart over an election, but we're still here. This congregation, this building is the fourth building, by the way, and this is 126 years old, and it's our fourth building. So we go way back before this building. This congregation was founded in 1793. This congregation has seen civil war, 2 world wars, a global flu pandemic in 1918. We have seen slavery, segregation, women obtained the right to vote, the Vietnam War, the ordination in the United Church of Christ in which I'm ordained, the ordination of the first openly gay pastor 48 years ago. We have seen the AIDS crisis. We have seen 9/11. And we have seen a house divided in many, if not all of those situations, but we're still here. We did stand. How do we keep our eyes on the prize while minding our step on the stony road? How do we keep the vision of a lion and a lamb and all these wild animals getting along and being together in peace but this is a stony road getting there. We got to keep our eyes on where our feet are going as well as our eyes on the prize at the end of the journey. In the Bible, it talks about a rock from which water flows. Where is that rock? It seems we need it. Can we remain united in our divided? Let us pray. God of mercy within victory, God of solace within defeat, God of wild animals within tame humans, show us the blessing within us not always getting our way. And may your will always be embedded at the core of our own. Amen.
When peace like a river upholds me each day, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well. It is well, it is well with my soul. Though evil should tempt me, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control that Christ has regarded my helpless estate and has paid life and blood for my soul. It is well, it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul. O God, speed the day that is filled with your light, when clouds are rolled back as a scroll, the trumpet shall sound, and the Lord shall appear. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul.
Thank you for that, Craig. It is well with my soul. It is well with our soul. It seems like a wonderful thing to do. But as I said on Facebook, there's no matter what happened in the election, no matter whether you got your way or you didn't get your way, no matter what happened and what side you landed on and what candidate with which you were in alliance, 70 million people are on the other side. Almost exactly half, razor thin margins in many places. So what we're really talking about here is healing. But people are often anxious to get to the healing, and what they will do sometimes is jump over prematurely, I think sometimes, some of the woundings in order to get to the healing. And it's well intended. I've seen countless churches that do great work with mission stuff. They feed the hungry, they clothe the naked, they visit the prisoners, just like Matthew 25 said. We have a free barbershop, mobile shower units, soup kitchen, food pantry, clothes pantry, blood pressure screening, all of that, and it's all well good. It is well with our soul, but we can't forget that within our communities, within our congregations, we are made up of individuals, and sometimes we are not all that well within our particular soul. In other words, while the country is divided and we're focusing on what we can do about getting the other side to come around, we are sometimes divided within ourselves. And healing in the aftermath of anything, including in the middle of a pandemic, can provide us an opportunity to fall apart, as well as an opportunity to learn and grow in ways when we're shaken at our core that we normally wouldn't be open to. Let me give you an example. We all know And we readily admit that our nation has been and still is divided. Everybody's give a sigh of relief that there was no violence last night, and not that I heard of anyway. But do we just as readily admit and accept that many times we are divided within ourselves? That is part of the journey. How can you heal the whole if you don't heal the component parts? Even the Apostle Paul felt a divide within himself. And I love Romans, even though it's hard to hear and not everybody likes to preach on this, because it's so honest. The Apostle Paul. You go to the Vatican, there's two statues, huge statues in the front. One is Peter and the other is Paul. Listen to what Paul says in Romans chapter 7. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate to do, for I do not do the good that I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. So I find this law at work. This is the law at work within himself that Paul is talking about. And we can see it manifest in communities, families, relationships, job opportunities. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. For in my inner being, I delight in God's law. But I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. A nation divided at the same time that our souls are divided. God help us. Now, bringing it home, imagine part of someone wants to get sober. They've got a drinking problem and it's wreaking havoc in their relationships. They got fired from their job, their liver's shot, whatever. So they decide, or they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So a part of them wants to get sober and another part doesn't want to get sober. What do you think the odds are? Imagine part of someone wants to be faithful in their marriage, but another part doesn't want to be faithful in their marriage. What do you think the odds are there? Imagine half of America wants to heal the nation after their victory, and the other half wants to tear it down after their defeat, no matter which side you ended up on. What do you think the odds are? A house divided, a soul divided cannot stand. So let us listen as the motorcycles go by to give us this musical accompaniment here on Main Street in Patchogue, Long Island. Let us look at what that manifestation and that relationship, as Paul was talking about, between we are divided as a country, but I'm also kind of divided as a person. I have mixed motives. I have mixed priorities. Let's see how that fleshes out in a song called A House Divided, written by Josh Wilson and played now by Craig Coyle.
Could someone tell me why old habits just won't die? It's like I got two hearts inside one chest, and one is beating for the life I'm heading towards. The other wants to drag me to my death. I am a house divided, but I decided I'm gonna fight it. I do what I don't want to. Oh God, I need you to make me new every day, every day, every day. I've never understood the folks that think we're good whenever we are left to our desires. Well, the way I see it is, along we are adrift, in an ocean, in a boat we set on fire. I am a house divided, but I decided I'm gonna fight it. house divided, but I've decided I'm gonna fight it. I do what I don't want to. Oh God, I need you. Oh God, I need you.
Maybe I'm just being self-conscious, but I have a feeling that you might notice that I'm not walking particularly well today. I am taking physical therapy and chiropractic as a result of my healing process after a couple of recent surgeries, and I overextended myself, and gonna do well, but not at the moment. Okay, a house divided, a soul divided, a nation divided. Oh my gosh, we're going down. Not necessarily, because problems are opportunities for change. We've seen it 1,000 times. Transformations can come out of crucifixions. Out of oppression and the diaspora comes a will to get back together with those from which we've been disenfranchised. I was asked by New York Newsday newspaper, just a few days before the election, to write a piece, to write a reflection for the paper about what do you have to say to people who are disappointed in the aftermath of the upcoming election. So I had to write my response to that, not knowing what the result would be of the election. And I took that on readily, and it took me a couple minutes. It was just like flowed right out of me what I wanted my response to be. Now, they asked me as a clergy person, so it talks a little bit about as a clergy person here, obviously, but it's much more than, well, God wants us all to be one. Yeah, that's nice to say. You can say that while you're cutting somebody off in the parking lot. But here's what I wrote for New York Newsday. I believe it was published yesterday, which is whatever date it is here in November. I observed 4 things at a young age. One is that half of the people on the field and half of the people in the stands are disappointed with the outcome of any ball game. Now, as a very young person, I thought, that's interesting. Every game I go to, no matter what result it is, no matter what team, away game, local game, television game, my soccer game as a kid, half of the people are disappointed. Number 2, people love to choose sides. Number 3, people want to be on the winning side. And number 4, always being on the winning side is not always possible. So there it is, a life dynamic set up with an 8-year-old kid at a baseball game, a softball game, I believe it was. Much to my chagrin, I continued in the Newsday article, much to my chagrin, strong emotions, personal integrity, religious belief, hard work, prayer, fairness, and even blame does not change these 4 points. We love to choose sides. We don't want to be on the losing side. Half of the people are going to be upset, and we don't always get our way. As a mature, ambitious, and somewhat feisty adult, I still struggle with perceived defeat. Thankfully, God has blessed all of us, I believe, with the gift of not always getting our way. God has blessed all of us with the gift of not always getting our way. Now, mind you, this is before the election, so I didn't know if I was getting my way or not. I voted. Through losing comes humility and the opportunity for compromise, without which spiritual growth is not possible. Reinhold Niebuhr, how's that for a name? Theologian and professor at my alma mater, Union Theological Seminary in New York City, expressed the sentiment I'm getting at, I believe, best. Reinhold Niebuhr is the author of the Serenity Prayer, which begins, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now a song, God of Grace and God of Glory, written by another professor who was at Union Theological Seminary. Let us hear Craig play God of Grace and God of Glory. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. This is not live. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather physically. The choir is going to be doing this. They were here recording it a few days ago at night, and I get to, well, I don't know if I can sit down because I might not get back up. But here we go. Thank you to the choir for that. That was beautiful. We're leaning into, we have Will with us now, who is our new tech person who's going to be doing the sound for us. So we're really have a lot of new equipment, and we're trying to learn and live into this and showing the lyrics on the screen. This is all new to us. So thank you for all your good work, Craig, choir, Will. Now, of course, I have to talk about the Long Island Railroad, because if you live on Long Island, you got to talk about the Long Island Railroad, the LIRR. I'm sure if you've ever ridden the Long Island Railroad or many other railroads around the country, I'm sure that you have noticed that the Long Island Railroad has an engine at either end. Either end of the train is an engine. Good idea, huh? You get to your destination. Once upon a time, they had these big 360-degree things that took up a lot of energy, a lot of land, a lot of construction, and they would turn the train all the way around, and then it would go back in the other direction, and there was another one of those, and they'd turn it around. So, hey, let's just put it, it's a lot cheaper, a lot easier, don't have to tear up all this land, and we'll just have an engine on either end. So you get to the destination, and the other engine car takes over and pulls the train in the other direction and vice versa. Now imagine the train is about to leave the station and the engine on either end each try to get the train to go in different directions at the same time. So they have, one guy thinks I'm supposed to drive east and the other one thinks she's supposed to drive west. And they're both revved up their engine. There are many cars apart, and so then it's noisy in there, and they're both trying to go in two different directions at the same time. Now imagine that situation is allowed to continue for months or for years. Not such a good idea, huh? People can be like trains. They ride along the same route over and over again until a situation arises, and suddenly they're being pulled in different directions. Part of them wants to get sober, part of them doesn't. Part of them wants to be married, part of them wants to be single. Part of them knows they need a job. Part of them says, I don't want to work anymore. I'm completely dissatisfied. So they're pulled in two different directions at once. It can happen within your soul, as we heard. It can also happen within your country, as we've experienced. Stuff happens. People deliberate on how to deal with it. Courses of action are considered, and hopefully a solution is reached. The agreed upon solution might not please everyone, but it does put an end to an untenable situation. I get in so much trouble by trying to talk about peace. We try to ring a bell 220,000 times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for over 2 weeks. Each bell toll is the death of a single American. Threats, all this sort of stuff. It's really amazing. And then I post something about a house divided cannot stand. And what do we do when there's 70 million people that are on the other side of no matter how and then you start getting flack for it. We know that. That's the nature of people. The agreed upon solution. Which engine are we doing? Which direction are we headed now? Might not please everyone, but it does end an untenable situation of being pulled in two different directions at the same time. If we can agree on where the train is going, then we might be able to say, all aboard! Not being divided against ourselves does not mean that we have to cheer for both teams at a ball game. I think it was Vince Lombardi, the very famous Green Bay Packer coach of the 60s, who is still famous, an amazing coach, said a football player who says that victory isn't everything has been playing too long without a helmet. So we know that this is not easy stuff. And we don't have to cheer for both teams at the same time. Of course we want our team to win. It doesn't mean that we have to have one political party where everybody is everybody's all together and sharing casseroles at a potluck supper. It doesn't have to be like that. It does mean, however, that we need to maintain or restore civility and, dare I say it, morality. Morality. Now, you can talk about morality, meaning, hanky-panky or whatever, but basically it's how you make your decisions. And also, remember Aesop's story? The moral of the story is, when I was a kid, there was a moral to every story. The moral of the story is that you can be the tortoise or the hare, but neither is good or bad. It depends upon what you do with it. Okay, there was always a moral to the story. It seems like we've abandoned so much of that as being hopeless. It's not. We've been talking about healing through this entire pandemic. The election is just another manifestation of this division. And this church is just another manifestation since 1793 of how we will get through this. This church was built and the state-of-the-art kerosene is what we had these lanterns lit with. Horse and buggy, there were no cars. All of the things that we faced in the past were still here. We can do it if we come together. Morality is a differentiation between what decisions and actions are and are not made and are appropriate and proper. America, our community, our church, and indeed our very own body is only as strong as our weakest link. We're only as strong as our weakest link. It is self-interest to do what is told in Matthew 25. To feed the hungry, to visit the ones that are imprisoned by loneliness or addiction or literally in prison, to clothe the naked, to find a way forward together. Let us learn and let us heal. Not divided, but united. See you next Sunday at 10 a.m. I'm going to limp off stage, and I'll see you later.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. I've seen the purple mountains, majestic, above the fruited plain. I didn't have to sit down, and I also didn't have to use my crutches. Somebody brought a chair up in case I couldn't stand anymore. Someone came to my home yesterday and dropped off on the front porch a pair of crutches that I could lean on. Thank you for giving me a place to sit. Thank you for giving me something to lean on. And in the name of God, may we learn and be gracious unto each other and lean on each other in this time of healing as we help each other walk the stony road and keep our eyes on the prize. Amen.